I'm Matt with Xerox, and I'm going to take you through the ins and outs of the Xerox Altalink. We'll go through a device overview, how to change toner, remove and prevent jams, and then go through its functions. So copy, scan, fax, and then print. So let's get to it. The document feeder of the Altalink holds 130 sheets of paper. When you load your documents, you'll want them to be face up or face down on the left side of the glass. You'll have 4 main paper trays as well as a bypass tray on the left-hand side of the device. Each tray, once you open it, can be resized for a different size paper. Trays 1 and 2 hold up to 11 by 17, and then the larger trays down south hold 8.5 by 11, trays 3 and 4. Usually the trays will pull in that order, 4, 3, 2, 1. One will run out, automatically switch to the next one, as long as the size is the same. To change toner, there are handles on the left-hand side of the front door. You'll just open it up. You've got your toners along the top. You just pull them out pretty easily. Each one is keyed so that they fit in the correct seating. And then you also have your waste container. This comes right out. And then you just dispose of it once it's full, and then simply insert the new one, close it up, and you're good to go. The Altalink will also have a finisher on it that will staple up to 50 sheets. Stapler's on the right-hand side on the finisher here. When you open up this front door, staples are easily pulled out. Once this cartridge that holds 5,000 staples is empty, all you have to do is remove it from the white sled, replace the plastic cartridge with the new one, slip it until it clicks, close up that door, and you're good to go again. If a jam occurs, to remove it, you'll want to follow the instructions on the screen, but usually it's going to be on the left-hand side of the device. You'll want to open up the doors with the handles. Fuser's on the left-hand side, so you want to be a little careful of that because it'll get a little warm sometimes. But green means go, so go ahead and open up wherever you see the paper and pull it out. Make sure everything's back in place once you close it. And then if it tells you to open up another door, go ahead and do so. Grab the paper. Pretty easy. The best way to prevent jams is to simply fan the paper before loading it. All that means is just flip through it, let that air into it. When it gets really staticky in the colder months or humid in the hotter months, that paper will stick together. So that fan, as simple as it may seem, is gonna help quite a bit. The other thing that you'd want to do too is if you're using special paper like labels, letterhead, cardstock, so on and so forth, when you load that paper in the tray, it's going to automatically ask you the size and the type and the color. So you're going to want to confirm exactly what it is so that it treats it correctly. It heats up properly, pushes it through at the right speed so that it minimizes the propensity for getting stuck. Let's talk about the functionality. We'll start with the touchscreen. To get to this home screen right here, you're going to press the home button, which is on the right-hand side of the control panel. And then as you can see, you have your functions listed out: copy, email, and then fax. For copy, when you enter that menu, everything's pretty cut and dry, but looking from top down, you've got your start button on the top right. So wherever you scroll, as you go through your menu to change settings like color, two-sided, finishing, so on and so forth, notice that your start button is always going to stay on that top right corner of the screen. For the most part, it's pretty simple. Just load your originals face up in the feeder, as aforementioned. Type in your number of copies, and then just simply close your eyes and press start. If you want to change other settings before that, you'll just scroll through, press anywhere along the row of the setting you want, such as color, and you can choose your settings. You've got your two-sided copying menu right here. The number on the left is the number of sides on the originals. The number on the right is the number of sides on the copies. You can choose your paper, or you can have it auto-select as long as it's a pretty standard size. One note to make sure that you all know is that if you are copying an odd size original, a check, a receipt, something that's not a normal boring size, it is usually best to simply pick the tray that you want to go to before pressing start, so that it just says, you know what, you're the boss, I'm going to go to this tray no matter what the size is. If you don't do that, it's no big deal, but it'll probably tell you that it doesn't understand what size to go do, and then it'll ask you to confirm anyway. So you're just basically getting ahead of it. As we go through, I want to go through finishing. You're able to staple up to 50 sheets. All you got to do is just select what option you want. You've got your reduce and large right below that. If you want to automatically have it go to a specific tray, you can press the auto percentage button right there, secondly there, and then what will happen is it'll automatically shift to whatever tray and size that you select in the paper supply menu. Otherwise, if you go back to the reduce and large, you can press more. And if you want to get picky with it, which is fine, go ahead and just choose the exact percentage you want. Press OK and then start, and then it'll resize for you. So you can explore these menus, but it gets less and less used as you go down. If you want to reset everything, you want to kind of start from scratch, it'll go back to its normal settings after about a minute of not being touched. Or at the very bottom, there is this reset button that will reset it back to its defaults. Let's move on to scanning to your email address. So again, from the home screen, when you press email, it will automatically ask you to either manually type in the recipient email address, or you can select from the device address book. If you choose the manual entry, there's that keyboard that pops up. Notice that the @ symbol is at the bottom. Now, most of you should already have your names in the device's address book, so we're going to use that function. I put mine in as an example. So when you open it up, it's going to give you a list of the names in alphabetical order. Notice on the right-hand side, you can select a letter to jump to your name. We don't have a ton in here, so I'm just going to select my name and then press OK. The main menu, again, is relatively simple. Most of the things that you need are up top. Notice the start or the send button is at the top right, no matter where you scroll in the menu. So to simply put it, load your originals face up in the feeder, find your name, and then press send at the top right. If you want to use some other fun features, there's a subject bar that you can select, or even an attachment name bar that you can press. When you press either of those, it'll pop up a keyboard that you can then customize your liking. If you want to change the formatting of your file that you email, there's a PDF button at the bottom right of this gold screen here that you can select. You can even go into the more screen, gives you a couple other options. And then as you scroll through, you can see these menus. You can preview your scan before it's sent. Color scanning is free, so there's not much need to change that, but it's important for you to know that it's there. If you have a double-sided document, you can scan both sides by pressing that two-sided button right there. Understand, too, that it's going to suck the originals in, scan both sides at the same time, so it's only going to go through once. One thing that's important to note, too, is that if you have a lot of sheets and some are one-sided, some are two-sided, there is down below a remove blank pages setting that you can select, and then it'll only include the pages with content on it and remove the blanks. But all your settings should be optimized. So if you do want to change any of these, resolution, two-sided, light and dark, and so on and so forth, they're going to be in these main menus. Again, the basics are find your name in the address book, and then load your originals and press send. Speaking of address books, if you want to add, edit, or delete anyone from there, whether it be email or a fax number, what you can do is you can access the device's website to do so. You want to be able to find the IP address so that you can get to that website. So I'll show you. If you press the device button on the home screen and then about, if you scroll down to the wired IPv4 address, it'll give you that number there. When you type that set of numbers in the address field of a web browser, that'll get you to your site. This number isn't your device specifically, it's mine, but I just wanted to show you that. So once you get to that site, this is what you should see. And then all you have to do then is select the address book. But your address book is right here, pretty cut and dry stuff here. You can add, edit, or delete the names in there. So for adding, you'll notice there's quite a few cells here, but honestly, all you have to do is type in the person's name, type in their email, and then scroll down and select save. Like I had mentioned before, if you want to save a fax number, you can certainly save that there as well. Moving on to faxing from the home screen, simply press the green fax button. It'll ask you if you want to manually type in the number or choose from that address book that we were just speaking of. Typically, we're going to go to manual entry and then type in whatever number you want. One note is if you have to dial a prefix like 9 or 1 or 8 or something like that, it's not based on the device, it's based on the phone line. So just use whatever protocol that you need to use with that fax line. But once you enter that number, press add on the right. Choose whatever settings you want, such as two-sided if you'd like. And then at the top right again, remember, no matter where you scroll, that start button, or send in this case, is always up there. Just press send and then off it goes. When it comes to printing, the print drivers for each Xerox device will be added automatically to your computers. Notice the naming convention is going to be the business unit, floor, department, and color or black and white. You just want to click printer properties to access the other settings that you have at your disposal. And then let's just go through these relatively quickly here. You've got a pretty robust menu here of all the things you can do. We're going to stick with this main tab. In the job type menu up top, you can print normally where it just shoots out, or you can select other options. A nice one is the secure print feature if you want to send jobs and have them release at a later time with a code. When you click that secure print, you can type in whatever code you want. And then when you go into jobs at the device itself, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 days later, whatever, you can release that with that code. You've also got your paper menu. One important thing to notice, I know we were talking about this before, where if you have special paper like labels or letterhead or cardstock, if you confirm the paper that's in the tray first, it will automatically show up in the list of papers right there. So if you load labels, call the label. When you saunter back to your desk, it's going to tell you, yep, that tray has labels. If you don't want to load that paper first, if you want to just send the job and say, you know what, I want to go to cardstock, what you can do is you can go to the other type menu in the paper menu, tell it to go to cardstock, and then click OK to print. That job will send to the device, but it'll wait for you because that cardstock hasn't been loaded yet. Other jobs can print around that job, which is extremely important. You're not holding anybody else up. When you are ready, all you have to do is load the paper in the bypass tray typically, call it cardstock because that's what you called it at your computer. Those settings will match up. It'll say, hey, great, they finally loaded that cardstock, and then it'll print for you. So it's a really easy way to send the job, not have to go back and forth running, right? Nobody print, nobody print. You can just send it first and then walk over nonchalantly when you're ready and print that special paper. Other things you can do are change one-sided, two-sided, so on and so forth. Finishing is where you can go to staple. You can also change your settings from black and white to color. Notice these little icons to the left. You can also click those to make your changes. And you can change your print quality when you're printing. We hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or needs, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to help. Thanks for your time.